آمنت طائفة من بني إسرائيل وكفر الطائفة فأيدنا الذين آمنوا على عدوهم فأصبحوا ظاهرين.
الحمد لله.
الاجتماع المرحوم.
Assalamu alaikum. Is Dr. Shuaib done? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Dr. Shuaib Mukhtar Shuaib, who is the director of the Kano office of the Triple IT, for this abundantly and for the prayers also. Like I said, we will begin before the speaker joins us. And I hope my voice is very clear, not like that of the reciter of the Quran, because the reciter of the Quran, maybe his connection is poor. I don't know whether I have the same poor connection. I hope people are hearing me very well. Am I being heard very well without any hitches? Hello? Assalamu alaikum. Oh my God. I can see that some people said they are not hearing me. Is everybody hearing us, please? Okay. So the next item is welcome and introduction of the speaker. I wish to, on behalf of the Triple IT Kano office and the entire Triple IT in Nigeria, that is the North Central office being headed by Dr. Aliu Tanko, and the Lagos office being headed by our father, Dr. Jibril Oyekan. And indeed, on behalf of the Triple IT International, I wish to welcome us all to this very important lecture, which is the first of a series of lectures that we have instituted on the Sokoto Caliphate. We call it Sokoto Caliphate Lecture Series. We have felt that it was necessary to institute this lecture series because we need to educate the world about the Sokoto Caliphate and its contributions to history, contributions to knowledge and development in Africa in its entirety, but most especially in the West African sub-region and also in Nigeria more specifically. We have instituted this lecture series because primarily we felt that we need to educate our younger ones about our history. Today, it is unfortunate to see that many young people, graduates, in fact, you may even find people that are already lecturers in the university, but they know next to nothing about the Sokoto Caliphate, the Sokoto Jihad leaders, but most importantly also, many people don't know anything about their intellectual contribution, the heritage, the intellectual heritage they bequeath to us. That is very rich, very vast, very deep in almost all aspects of knowledge today, in almost all the disciplines, but most especially on issues of political science, governance, and statecraft, issues of peace, security, and conflict resolution and conflict management, and so on and so forth. Many of our younger ones do not know this history, and we felt that this has given us an opportunity to educate the world about the tremendous contribution that these great scholars made to humanity. And hence we instituted this lecture series. And Alhamdulillah, we felt that we should begin the lecture series in a big way. What do I mean by beginning in a big way? That we should get somebody who is an erudite scholar, well-respected scholar as far as the issue of the history of Sokoto Caliphate is concerned. We must get somebody like that to request him to be the first speaker, to set the pace, to set the tune, and to blaze the trail as far as the lecture series is concerned. So that is why we requested Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman. Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman is our teacher, is our mentor, he is our scholar. We felt he should be the person that should begin this lecture series. And hence, we requested him and he gladly accepted to be the first speaker. I am very sure that when Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman makes his presentation, we're all going to benefit. Let me say this. When I was discussing with Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman about the need to have the lecture, I said to him, Malam, it is sad that many people do not know the influence of the Sokoto Caliphate in the making of Nigeria and the West African sub-region. He said, no, we shouldn't limit the influence of the Sokoto Caliphate to West Africa. We should see it from a wider perspective. And that is to say that the Sokoto phenomenon is something that has made great impact on the entire African continent. And hence, we chose the topic, the Sokoto Caliphate phenomenon in African history. And I'm very sure when Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman comes to speak, he will insightfully demonstrate that perspective. And this is the little that I can say. And this lecture, inshallah, since we have said it's a lecture series, it's going to be conducted in series. And it is going to be a weekly activity. And it is going to always be on Thursday. And it is always going to be at this particular time, 4:30 to 6 p.m. inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Next week, we're going to have another speaker. We're going to release the timetable to the world. We're going to release the timetable on social media, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We've sent email to a few persons on the timetable. There may be a few adjustments on the timetable as it is, but inshallah, it's going to continue up to beyond the Eid al-Adha. That is what we normally call Eid al-Kabir. It's always going to be on Thursday. So next Thursday, this time, inshallah, we'll have another speaker. Subsequent Thursday, there will be another speaker, and so on and so forth. And in that way, we will continue, inshallah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. So this is the much I can say. Let me check whether Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman has joined us. Assalamu alaikum. Is Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman around? Assalamu alaikum. All right. In the absence of Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman, before he joins us, I can see that our leader in the Triple IT, the one who actually established the office as it is in Nigeria, Dr. Bashir Galadanchi is with us. Let me request Dr. Bashir Galadanchi to make some remark while I make contacts with Dr. Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman, inshallah. Dr. Bashir Galadanchi, I wish to recognize also the presence of Dr. Aliu Tanko, who is heading the North Central Office of the Triple IT. So Dr. Bashir Galadanchi, please, can you say a few words for us?
tun farko wato kila community suna ba da support.
Please unmute Dr. Nabil.
Lokacin irin su
Please unmute Malam Dr. Bashir Galadanci.
wannan
Dr.
khilafa
Nabil.
na Shehu Usman Danfodio, lokacin aka ce hukumar gwamnati wato za a ce tana ba da iyakacin gudunmawarta ga
Dr. Nabil.
so gwamnati ta ba da nata, al'umma su ma su ba da nasu, mawadata su ba da nasu, saboda haka
Assalamu alaikum.
did not have
Alaikum salam. Please unmute Dr. Bashir Galadanci.
I have unmuted Dr.
Unmute
Bashir.
Dr. Bashir Galadanci.
It is like he's attending to somebody else. You can hear his voice in the background.
wato ban tausayi, babu abinci,
Okay.
ba wurin kwana, babu sha'anin taimakawa wato kula da lafiyarsu.
Dr. Aliyu Tanko.
Ko kusan da muka
Dr. Aliyu Tanko. Unmute Dr. Aliyu Tanko. Let him say something, please. Before we.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Now,
Go ahead, Dr. Aliyu Tanko.
now I didn't get you. What do you want me to do?
Just say a few words about the triple IT and about the.
Alhamdulillah, I welcome everybody and wish everybody a useful time here, inshallah. Though I'm in Abuja, as I said, I had you requested that we should go to Ibrahim Sulaiman, but we are very far away.
Ya ba mu gan shi bane. In
But
aka gan
inshallah,
shi me sunan da yayi? Okay, to.
okay. I would like to say, I know inshallah if Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman is in Abuja, it's likely to be with us anytime. But before then, we'd like to appeal to our brothers and sisters that are with us here to be patient. This is part of the technology, the issues, challenges with the technology. As for the, Alhamdulillah, Professor Salis already introduced the part of the triple IT and the various offices. You know, we're having 3 offices in Nigeria. One is headed by himself. And then this, that is the Kano office. And Alhamdulillah, our father, Dr. Ibrahim Sulaiman is heading the Lagos office, while my humble self is heading the central office, Abuja Zaria axis. This is a combination. We work together in organizing things that will help and hopefully add value to the knowledge of our brothers and sisters across Nigeria. The idea of the triple IT, as we all know, is basically the emphasis is education, the issue of uplifting the understanding of our brothers and sisters and even the non-Muslims in the education cycle. That's how where the issue of the integration of knowledge comes. This is the area of focus for the triple IT, i.e. trying to make our brothers and sisters have the dual understanding of education. Having the Islamic, whatever field one is, especially in the social science, and in fact any aspect of education, to have the conventional side as well as endeavor to have the same education but by the Islamic point of view. That is what the integration is all about, for one to have both the Islamic and the conventional perspective of the education or of whichever field one is in. So this is the effort, and of course, I'm sure Kano, Sokoto, Maiduguri, these are the areas that are very, very much familiar with this idea of integration of knowledge. And now other areas are coming. And that was why last week, sometimes last week, there was a presentation on this issue of the integration of knowledge and developing materials on it. So gradually, we are hoping that inshallah, everybody will understand the value of having the dual idea of what education and what field one is specializing on. Because where you have the Islamic perspective as well as the conventional perspective, definitely one will be a better teacher because you have more knowledge that can be beneficial to your students. So this is now the effort. The triple IT is working. The triple IT is working to ensure or to promote this idea. Whether one is in sciences, from science, in the sciences also you can see it from the Islamic perspective, because that is where even people will understand the value of Islam more, especially in sciences, medicine, engineering, and what have you. Because long before,
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam promoted that, and we're still on it. Now,
Dr. Ali Tanko. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Malam is around. Malam has joined us.
Barakallah fi.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We thank Dr. Ali Tanko for these useful comments. And I am glad to announce to us that the speaker, our teacher, Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman, is with us. And we're going to invite him very soon to make his presentation. Let me tell Dr. Nabil, who is the technical person controlling this meeting, that the name with which Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman has joined us is Usman Aliyu. So when I invite him to speak, you should unmute Usman Aliyu. That is the phone or the name he's using. And on behalf of the entire virtual gathering, I wish to welcome Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman to the virtual world, to this virtual meeting. And I have already made some remarks. I have already introduced the topic. I have also somehow introduced Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman. But in a nutshell, for those that are young among us, let me say that all of us that you see are students and disciples of Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman. We began to know Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman since when we were in secondary school, for those of us. Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman has been with Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, since when some of us were in the primary school. And we began to know him when we were in secondary school, but we became his close disciples when we came into the university in the 1980s, when Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman was unfailingly, consistently, and constantly, making series of writings on Islam on the New Nigerian newspaper every Friday. So we would always make sure that we buy the New Nigerian on Friday just to read Ibrahim Sulaiman on Friday. And then it later turned into Sunday when the Sunday New Nigerian began. So we have been disciples of Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman at large. We've been his mentees. He's our teacher to all of us. And as I said in the beginning, you can't find somebody who is an authoritative reference person in Nigeria today, as far as we know, as far as the Sokoto Caliphate is concerned, more than Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman. The two books that he has written on the Sokoto Caliphate, the first one, A Revolution in History, the Jihad of Usman Dan Fodio. Then the second one, which is a follow-up to the first one, The Islamic State and the Challenge of History. These have remained some of the most authoritative books of reference as far as Sokoto Jihad and Sokoto Caliphate are concerned. So we are glad to have Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman with us today, who's going to share his knowledge on Sokoto Caliphate. Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman is not known to be a superfluous speaker, so we had earlier given him 45 minutes, but because of the time we have lost more than 30 minutes, Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman will be given now 35 minutes to speak to us, and afterwards we will have questions and answers, inshallah. So on behalf of the Triple IT, I welcome Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman, and I wish to invite him to make his presentation. Like I said, Dr. Nabil, please unmute Usman Aliyu. That is the name with which Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman has joined us. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sir.
Thank you. I have been around for a long time. Then we have technical problems here. We have technical problems.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we have explained that.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi
Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm seeing some of my teachers here, including the last speaker, who is a contemporary teacher. I'm no longer contemporary. You see, I want us to note about 2 or 3 things. First of all, that Sheikh Usman Dan Fodio is the architect of Sokoto Caliphate, in the sense that he is the founder and the father of the caliphate. Now, the revolution he brought into being is considered to be, as far as an indigenous revolution is concerned, the greatest thing that had happened in Africa. So I don't want us to belittle the effect of what he has done. And I have brought some opinions, not only of Muslims, but of many others, about what has happened. It's the most significant event that has happened in Africa, in the sense that it created the largest state that was brought into being in Black Africa. Now, Sheikh Usman as a personality is considered, well, first as one of the greatest people Africa has produced. But as Johnston said, if you add his scholarship, his knowledge, his piety, and his fear of God, then he has a unique place in the history of Africa. That is, his place is not parallel to any other person we have known in Africa. Now, the phenomenon of the caliphate has three dimensions, as I said: the African, if you like, the West African dimension. Second, the African dimension. And because this is a revolution that was based on the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has a universal dimension. It's universal in the sense that anybody, whether in the past or in the present or in the future, who wants to do the things that will lead to an Islamic state has to take the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the meaning. So it has a universal, import. Now, what happened? Let's begin with what happened immediately in the Hausa land where the revolution took place. First, every state around it gave way to a new order, which is the Islamic order. Second, and this state I'm talking about, there are many, not only one, there are many states. Secondly, every state, non-Muslim states around, and every empire around also gave way. Including the Oyo Empire, whatever empire you can think of. And thirdly, every other empire in West Africa gave way. But more than that, it gave effect to a series of revolutions. Right from, well, from the borders of Nigeria up to Mali. You have the revolution of Sheikh Umar al-Futi. You have the, this is the revolution that linked with the French existence, French presence in West Africa. This is the first revolution that encountered Western powers. You know, Sheikh Umar fought the French for, is it 10 years, 10 to 15 years before he died. I mean, before he was martyred. But he knew the consequences. He knew he was fighting a powerful force, but he forced them. He forced the French to acknowledge the supremacy of Islam, the supremacy of the state he established, until they connived with other forces around to undermine him. But the effect of that is that Sokoto had direct influence up to that area. In fact, Sheikh Umar al-Futi, when he was leaving Sokoto, Muhammad Bello made him his Khalifa. He said, I'm sending to you my student, and he is coming to do jihad in your land. And he did it successfully and established an Islamic state. Muhammad Bello gave him one of his daughters, and she became what they call the mother of the state. She was a writer, but she became the symbol of that state, which covers Mali, Senegal, and those areas. But after that, other revolutions took place. We know that of Samora Touré. I hope some of us know about Samora Touré. Samora Touré, the Grand President of Guinea. This one was the one that middle of West Africa up to Nigerian border, so that Islam was Nigeria. Now, but beyond that, we know that the jihad also, the founding of the Mahdi of Sudan was preconditioned by the jihad in Nigeria. It's not, what I'm saying is that just a local event, a West African event, an Africa event. But if you join it now to the fact that you are now dealing with something that is established by the Prophet, who is Rahmatul lil Alamin, who has brought a change that brought about the transformation of the whole world. In whatever form you can think of transformation and revolution, then you can see the point I'm trying to raise. Now, let's come back to Sokoto. Things at the same time. They were studying, they were teaching, they were fighting, they were administering. You can see the range of their activities. If one person is first a student, a continuous student, he's a teacher, he's a fighter, he's an administrator. So they have to have so much knowledge and so much versatility. So that gives you an idea of how versatile they were. How hardworking, not just mere hardworking. We can be hardworking and not productive. But I remember, during the 3 or 4 years that they were fighting in the desert, in what you may call semi-desert conditions, where there was no water, there was no any aspect of life that you can call enjoyment. It's not there. During that period, sometime in the dry season, a scholar computed the mileage they covered in the 4 years that they did the jihad. it was 4,000 miles. 4,000 miles they trekked. They were walking on foot. From here to there, from there to there, for 4,000 miles. I wonder which other revolution that you can compare to that kind of thing. The amount of sacrifice they had done. And all for what? For the sake of Islam. Now, you may compare this to the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how much they had suffered through the desert and so on and so forth. But this is much more than that. Now you can't compare this to Chinese revolution. Mao may have traveled how many kilometers, how many? Nothing like that. And these are poor people. They have nothing except their devotion to Islam. Now, I want us to also consider the character of Sheikh Usman himself. Well, I have mentioned a little bit of it, but look at the other scholars that helped in the course of the jihad. Muhammad Bello, who is the smallest of them, but Sheikh Abdullah. This is the person who single-handedly built the theoretical framework upon which the caliphate was based. All the laws that they used were from his mind, from his brain, and from his thinking. And then Bello was the one who was doing the how to manage the human and material resources of the state. They had new ideas. They were not copying just for the sake of copying. Yes, they were reading and writing, but from what they read, they made up their mind on what they have learned about Islam could be localized, could be made to fulfill the yearnings of the people of Sokoto, and they were looking beyond it also. I don't know whether I should say more than that, or I should stop. But the background to all this we are talking about is what Allah has said, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ, isn't it? أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Let there be among you a community that calls for the good of mankind. That the entire Islamic enterprise, the Islamic venture, if you like, because Islam is a venture, it's an enterprise, it is a project, and so on. The whole of what we Muslims are supposed to do is to work for the benefit of mankind. And the same thing is repeated again, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah, isn't it? So all our effort as Muslims is to make this world better for all human beings, to bring what is good to every human being, whether they belong to our faith or not. Just as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is said to be mercy to the whole of humanity. Now, that effort is what Allah means by saying that Muslims is as if they have sold this world for the next. Because here they suffer, they struggle, they sweat, they did all sorts of things. so that everybody will see the benefit of Islam and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so that everybody will enjoy whatever Allah has promised every human being here. In return, Allah has promised virtually three things to Muslims. Everyone who is embarking on this Islamic enterprise, the Islamic venture, that وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كَمَا اسْتَخْلَفَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ, and then that he will give them power. He will make them to succeed others. No matter what the strength of the opposition is, they will give way. And then for that reason, he will, the deen, this religion that he has given them, he will make that religion to be established on earth, and then he will change their situation from weakness to strength to power and whatever is associated with power. So, and in this case, in this particular case of Sokoto Caliphate, Allah's promise was fulfilled. As somebody said, well, after mentioning his quality, he said, despite all this that Allah has, Sheikh Usman, he said his community, they were weak, no power, no strength, no authority. Yet, in the end, his students became the statesmen who run an empire which is greater than the present, than what we call Nigeria. And then they had no land. You know, the Fulanis, when they came, they had no land. But then all these territories became virtually their own. Well, it became the property of Muslims. So, well, to conclude, it is necessary for us to understand that as far as we should realize, Islam is a continuous revolution. It's an ongoing venture. You know, when the writers, the Western writers, write about Islam, they thought the Sokoto Caliphate, or whatever it is, has come to an end. But you see, it has never come to an end, because Islam never comes to an end. It is moving from one phase to another, one venture to another venture. Now, as I said, when the Sokoto Caliphate took over, because that is the promise of Allah, that every time He will send people who will work for His religion. Nigeria, that was was created for us by the colonialists, we can see that it is coming to an end. And I don't think there's anybody who can salvage it. Now, this should give us greater impetus to work towards in all the efforts for the revitalization of Islam, for the rebirth of our community, for creating a community is called Ummatun Wasita. لتكون شهداء على الناس ويكون رسولا شهيدا عليكم. Isn't it? As Allah has said. If we link up with all the imperatives of Islam, then I'm sure the future of this land, of this nation, this region, of the whole of Africa is in the hands of Islam. You remember the point made by Ali Mazrui. He said, Africa was the first, the home of Hijrah for Islam. And as soon as Islam entered Africa, it changed the entire history of Africa. So from that point up to the time of the colonialists, Africa was the continent of we redraw not only the map of Africa, but the future of Africa. I have made this point. So that is the responsibility I think we all carry. Our land, I mean today Nigeria, Alhamdulillah, we are the ones who produce the food that the whole country eats, the meat that the whole country eats, and the human dignity. Human dignity and the quality of human being that can sustain any nation. So that is our source of strength. And this is what we should build on. Well, I'm sure now it is our duty to bring forward everything about Islam. Everything about Islam. We cannot defend Islam. We are afraid. We are not writing, even we cannot write our own history, unfortunately. It is others that are writing our own history. The Caliphate, everything that happened during their time, they have written it without telling lies about themselves, without telling lies about others, without exaggerating their strength, without underrating the achievements of their enemies. I think that is what we too must do. First, we must propagating it, by broadcasting it, and so on and so forth. Second, these territories that Allah has given us, and expand it. Sokoto Caliphate never had a defined territory. It kept on expanding. It was expanding territorially and intellectually when not possible, economically when possible. So on 3 or 4 fronts, it was expanded. So this is the nature of any Muslim, of Muslims, that we should preserve what Allah has given us and add more than that, or add more value to it. This is the little I need to say. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank our teacher and mentor, Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman, for this very wonderful and insightful presentation. I think Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman, like I said in the beginning, is not known to be a superfluous speaker who will talk and talk. He talks always straight to the point and is always very precise. And we could see that in his presentation. He clearly demonstrated the Sokoto phenomenon in African history. He has described the influence of the Sokoto Jihad within the Nigerian context, within the West African sub-region, and within Africa in its entirety. He described the influence of the Sokoto Jihad, not only in terms of territorial influence, but more importantly also in terms of intellectual and political influence. He clearly demonstrated that. The last point he made, the last point that was made by Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman was quite insightful when he says that the Sokoto Jihad, the Sokoto Caliphate knew no bounds. It kept extending and expanding whenever it was possible territorially, whenever it was possible intellectually, whenever it was possible economically. But I think, as you can see, this point, like I said, is very insightful. The Sokoto Jihad influence has kept on expanding intellectually even up to the present moment. So we can really see what Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman has said, that the Sokoto Caliphate is a phenomenon in African history. And we thank Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman for this very wonderful presentation. Whenever Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman makes presentations, I used to say that it takes a scholar to know a scholar. But here, I don't mean that we are all scholars. But I mean, what I want to say is that it takes a person to have some background of knowledge to be able to capture what Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman will present. Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman talks at a higher level and operates at a higher wavelength. That if you don't have some insight, you cannot capture what he's trying to say. And that is why he doesn't talk too much. Some of us might have expected that Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman would come and tell us, okay, this was the situation in Hausa land. This was how Sheikh Usman Danfodio was born. This is how he started his education. And this is how he started his preaching. No, he just went straight to the point. He demonstrated to us the influence of the Sokoto Caliphate historically, the influence of the Sokoto Caliphate also contemporarily. He told us the influence of the Sokoto Caliphate politically. He told us the influence of the Sokoto Caliphate intellectually, and so on and so forth. I think this is very wonderful. And if anything, this lecture is only telling us that we should stand up to read, but most especially to read our own history. He was saying that we don't write our own history, others write for us. But Malam, I think we can also say that we are not even able to read the history, our own history written by our forefathers. The books written by Sheikh Usman Danfodio, especially when we refer to the situation in which they live, which you actually explain, there was nothing like enjoyment. They were not living in luxury. They didn't have fast mobility like we have. Not even bicycles. They don't have motorcycles. They were using only donkeys, and camels were available, but that was only very few of them. Most of them were walking on foot. They traversed this vast land on foot, preaching, jihadizing, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, when they were doing that, they were also writing, they were also administering. But now today, with all the comfort we have, with all the means of communication we have, with all the luxuries we have, we don't even read the books they have written. I mean, they wrote. For example, what you said about what they wrote about the jihad, about themselves, they didn't even venerate themselves. They didn't exaggerate about them, about their achievement. They said the facts as they were. They also did not underrate what their enemies did. They said things very factually, like Abdullah Danfodio in Tazyin al-Warakat, like Sultan Muhammad Bello in Infaq al-Maysur, and so on and so forth, which we have not been able to read. So I think this lecture is telling us that we should stand up and read. But if anything, this lecture further underscores the need for the lecture series on Sokoto Caliphate, which we have now instituted. Inshallah, this is going to be in series. Now, Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman has laid the foundation for us. Next week, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Professor Mukhtar Bunza, and I am happy, Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman said he is not a contemporary scholar. So a contemporary scholar, Professor Mukhtar Bunza, is going to make a presentation on security and harmony in the Sokoto Caliphate, a model for peaceful coexistence in African multicultural nations and communities. We know there are a lot of conflicts in Africa. There are a lot of fault lines in Africa. So we need to have something about conflict resolution and conflict management. And Sokoto Caliphate presents a model for us in that regard. It was not a homogeneous caliphate. Sokoto Caliphate wasn't a homogeneous caliphate. It was a caliphate that brought together many nationalities, but then it was able to manage all these communities that it brought together, and they lived in harmony. They lived for about 2 decades. I mean, now beyond 2 decades. So I think we should thank Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman for this presentation. We cannot thank him more. Jazahullahu khairan for this presentation. I wonder if we have any questions for Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman to answer. Hello? It's like we don't have any questions from all the comments. Yes, we don't have questions, but maybe we have some few people that can make comments. Dr. Ali Utanko had made his comments in the beginning, and I could see that Dr. Bashir Sulaiman, Dr. Bashir Galadanchi is with us. Dr. Abdullah Jibril Oyekan is also with us. Dr. Saeed Ahmad Dukawa, who is a political scientist, is also with us. I will request, and I want to invite Imam Saeed Mukhtar from Ghana, to also say a few things on this. Let me begin with Imam Saeed from Ghana. Imam Saeed, just 2 minutes comment. How do people see the Sokoto Caliphate and the Sokoto Jihad leaders in Ghana? And what will you say about this fact of the phenomenon of the Sokoto Caliphate in Africa. Imam Said, Dr. Nabil, please unmute Imam Said from Ghana.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Prof, thank you very much for this opportunity. And we also thank so much the speaker for that high level, I can say, high level insight of the Sokoto Caliphate. It is also a fact, as Prof, you just mentioned, that we really are not, we don't know much about the Sokoto Caliphate. And so this lecture series wouldn't have come in a better time than this, particularly when a lot of misconceptions about Islam is out there, where some people think that, particularly here in Ghana, let's say, that Islam is only about, you know, following what, let's say, currently is happening in either Saudi Arabia or the Gulf state and so on. We fail to understand that there is this intellectual base of the Caliph, of the Sokoto Caliphate, from which we can actually derive inspiration, particularly if we are to localize in context how we should practice Islam. And so I think it's a very good opportunity for us. And we would also like that hopefully the subsequent lectures will break down this high level, I can say, presentation that has been given by the speaker, because a lot of the background we really need, particularly from this part of the world, who don't even know. In fact, the word Sokoto, I'm sure some of my Ghanaian participants who are here would not even know exactly what the Sokoto even mean, and so on. So we appreciate it a lot, alhamdulillah, and we hope that by the time this series are done, we will appreciate a lot of what the Sokoto Caliphate has left behind, so that this will trigger us to even read more. I remember I was given a document some time ago. I think it was by Professor Dr. Bugaji, which has to do with principles of administration. I mean, written those days during the time of Usman Dan Fodio, and I was shocked to see how those processes and SOPs of how they used to administer organizations, I mean, or how they used to administer offices during those years, those days. And I was shocked to find out that basically these are what some of these conventional way of administration and management, you know, base their processes and way of dealing with things in the offices and so on. So I think more of this and more of spreading the news about this this series would help a lot. From here in Ghana, I'm sure some of those who have joined today will wish that this lecture is breaking down so that we will understand it to the core. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much, Professor, for the opportunity given me. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you so much, Imam. Thank you so much. Dr. Bashir Galadanchi, please, if he's on. Dr. Bashir Galadanchi.
Dr. Magumna was particular about one of the cewa I hafizin Quran mu samu wani system.
Dr. Nabil, please unmute Dr. Bashir. Mute him because he's not with us. He's having another meeting. Dr. Jibril Oyekan, please. Dr. Jibril Oyekan. Dr. Jibril Oyekan.
I don't know what is his username, please. Dr. Jibril.
Abdullah Jibril Oyekan.
Actually, I cannot find him, sir.
Okay. So unmute Dr. Said Dukawa, please. Dr. Said Dukawa. You will see Dukawa's iPad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The moderator and the earlier contributor have said enough. Thank you to the presenter. I append my signature. I just want to ask a word of encouragement to us. In the Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano, and in the Department of Public Administration in the same university, we are increasingly having young academics who are taking interest in the Sokoto Caliphate phenomenon. And it's our hope that we will be having more of such efforts and endeavors. And I'm sure the presentation today and the subsequent ones that will be coming in the series will inshallah serve as impetus to this interest that our young academics are picking. Once more, thank you so much. Wajazakumullahu khaira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much. Seeing that we have about 5 minutes, I can see that some questions have just come in. Malam, I would like to read this question so that you respond. It was sent by our sister Muhsinat. The question is, much has been said about Asma'u, the daughter of the leader of the jihad. Are there other women whose roles have been documented before, during, and after the jihad was consolidated? I don't know whether Malam has had this question. Let me repeat. Much has been said of Nana Asma'u, the daughter of the leader of the jihad. Are there other women whose roles have been documented before, during, and after the jihad was consolidated? And then there was a second question, Malam. Maybe let me just put them together, since there is no time. The question is that, can we really utilize the current Muslim organizations and associations to entrench Islam and revive the Sokoto Caliphate? Number two, I think Sokoto Caliphate was weakened by the use of two main factors, economy and political power. Does Malam Ibrahim Sulaiman think so? And how can we revive our economy and regain political power? These are the questions, Malam. I think even if there are other questions, we will have to limit it to these ones.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. I hope you hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, before I answer it, I would last time we met, you asked me specifically that I should write, that we should set Abdullah Fodio lectures, is it lecture series you said? That will
be
like, be like a forum where we discuss about good
Sokoto
governance.
Caliphate. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still on it. It's not that you forced me to this lecture.
Thank you, sir.
You know, but that one is still there.
Okay, inshallah.
I'm writing on it.
Alhamdulillah.
My intention is the electoral process must be awakened. So I want to take it from the beginning. What is the electoral?
All right.
And what was the background to it? And then, then we build it on it. Because you'll be surprised. You will be surprised that quoting extensively from the works of Ibn Khaldun. But they had access to higher knowledge. Well, because Arabic was Arabic was the language of science and philosophy during their time. And it was the language worldwide. If you want to study science, you have to go and study Arabic first. Prevailing situation. So they had access to all this. But I'm on it. And as soon as I make an inroad, I will let you know so that we can see what next to do. Now about women.
Inshallah.
You know what Sheikh Usman did was that from the very beginning, he said, this journey we're going on, we are embarking on, is not possible without women. Generations of women. So not only Nana Asmau, but there are many other women who have gained knowledge and who are writing. Only that Nana Asmau was prominent, being closest. I mean, she has wider access to scholars of that time. But what they did, you know that what gave them strength is that every child in the caliphate started his knowledge is her own knowledge from the mother. You can see even the Tazim al-Warakat. This one land land is from maternal, this from schools in themselves. And women were, and throughout, there was no discrimination against women. In fact, he made it compulsory that every woman must learn and every woman should teach. So that was it. Those women, there were others, as I said, the lady who, Mohammed Bello's daughter, who was in Mali, she was a scholar. She was writing. She was Muqtasar, which is the most difficult book we know, was translated into Fulfulde by Nana Asma and other ladies. Each one will pick a book. Character. everybody was writing huge literature in Arabic, in Fulfulde, in whatever other language there is. Now, whether, for your second question, whether the present organizations could be the vehicle to promote, to bring about Islam. The Islamic enterprise we are thinking now is bigger than the present organizations we have. In the sense that if you want to change the situation of Muslims, you must make effort to get everybody involved. That's the way I want to see it.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know whether
Alhamdulillah.
I have answered.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. It's okay. Alhamdulillah.
Your question for Islamic affairs. That responsibility.
Bama jinzu.
Professor.
Bama jinka, sir. Bama jinka.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
I think we need a new, we have to develop a new method, a new approach to Islam.
Alaikum salam. Shiga da ita. To, assalamu alaikum. It's like Malam is having a lot of challenges from his own end, and it is already 6:05 p.m. We have to bring the lecture to an end, sir. Thank you so much. We are so much grateful for your time. Allah yasaka da al-khairi. May Allah reward you abundantly. May Allah spare your life longer so that we'll continue to benefit from your knowledge. We thank everybody. We thank all the important personalities that are here. We thank the other directors of Triple IT, Dr. Abdullah Jibril Oyekan, Dr. Aliu Tanko. We thank the regional director of Triple IT, Dr. Bashir Galadanchi, all directors of Triple IT that are here. We thank everybody. We thank all the participants for their patience. We have had
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's like we lost the moderator, but I'm sure he's trying to end the meeting, and we have to end the meeting now for the program, inshallah. So you can join us, inshallah, next week, same time at 4:30 for another episode of the program, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you.